Welcome back, everyone. We're diving into online editing jobs today.
Lots to unpack.
You guys gave us a ton of resources.
Yeah.
So think of this as your cheat sheet, right? To find that perfect online editing gig.
And it's interesting, right? Because we're not just talking about like fixing typos in blog posts.
Right.
We're talking about a huge range. I mean, imagine polishing manuscripts before they're bestsellers, or making sure some groundbreaking research is accurate.
Okay, let's unpack this. So freelance platforms.
Yeah.
Many people start their online editing journey this way.
Yeah,
You've probably heard freelancer.com.
for sure.
It's like the wild west of freelancing, right?
Yeah, it is.
You've got a ton of opportunity, but you've got to be ready to hustle.
And I think that's what's important to remember about these massive platforms. Yeah, there are tons of gigs, but you also have a ton of competition.
Oh, yeah.
And with that comes, really competitive rates.
Right.
It can be a great place to start, but you got to know your worth.
Oh, absolutely.
You've got to negotiate. Don't be afraid to walk away.
Especially when you think about the time that you're spending
Mhm.
just like sifting through those job postings.
Oh, tell me about it.
Speaking of which, freelanceeditingjobs.com, this might be good for those who, like to be a bit more efficient, a more streamlined approach.
Absolutely. And what I love about them is that they vet not just the editors,
Oh, interesting.
but the clients too.
Okay.
So think of it like a members-only kind of club.
I like that.
It means less time wasted on those shady postings.
Yeah.
And, hopefully higher quality clients. But the trade-off, they often have, more requirements to join. You might have editing tests. You might need to show experience.
So you've got to have the skills to back it up.
Right.
Okay, freelanceeditingjobs.com. But now let's talk about those of you who love niche markets.
Okay.
Reedsy, this one is tailor-made for the bookworms out there.
Oh, nice.
Imagine editing a manuscript before it hits the bestseller list.
Oh, that's the dream. And that's what's so cool about Reedsy. It's a much more kind of intimate and specialized experience because they connect you as an editor directly with authors.
Oh, neat.
You're not just editing any old text. You could be shaping a masterpiece.
Wow, that's a cool way to think about it.
Mm.
Okay, so what about those whose editing superpowers are more geared towards, say, academics, like you're combing through research papers, dissertations, that kind of thing?
I would say check out Wordvice.
Okay,
Their focus is solely on academic editing.
nice. So you've got a very specific niche there.
Very much so. And that means that you could be working on these super high-stakes documents.
Oh, yeah.
That impact someone's career. So it requires a really good eye for detail, but you've also got to understand all those academic style guides and conventions.
Absolutely. You're not just fixing commas.
No.
You're really contributing to the accuracy and the clarity of vital research.
Exactly.
Okay, so we've talked about the platforms, but what about company jobs? Maybe you still want that structure, even if it's remote.
Yeah, and it's funny because, going from freelancing to company structure, those are two different beasts.
Totally.
But like you said, you can find those remote opportunities, and a great example is Gannett.
Get it? Okay.
They're behind USA Today, right?
Right.
And a whole network of publications.
Yeah.
And they often have these remote openings. So if you've got those editing skills,
That's where you go.
yeah. And Gannett's not the only one. In your research, you also had Forbes.
Forbes. Okay, so we're talking, that's the business
It's
magazine.
exactly the big one.
Yeah, the big one.
And they often need editors who, get it.
Yeah.
They understand the media. They understand journalism. Because it's not just about being grammatically perfect, right?
Right.
It's about crafting those stories.
Yeah, they grab you.
And in today's world, there's so much content, You've really got to capture that attention.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
And working for a name like that, Forbes, Gannett, that's got to be good for the resume.
Oh, huge. Not to mention the benefits.
Oh,
You get your health insurance, retirement plans, even paid time off. I mean, those are things that when you're freelancing, sometimes you just don't have.
absolutely a good point.
And that can make a huge difference for your well-being, but also your finances. Just that peace of mind.
Totally, yeah. I could see the appeal for sure. So we've talked about navigating those platforms like freelancer.com, right?
Yeah.
Finding your niche, like you said, with Reedsy or Wordvice, and even exploring those remote roles. But I want to go back to something you said earlier about scams,
Oh, yeah,
because there are a lot of,
there are, unfortunately.
shady postings out there.
Yeah.
And you had highlighted Flex Jobs, and this is a platform that directly addresses that.
Yeah, I love Flex Jobs.
Tell me more.
Because I think for anyone who's ever spent hours just going through job boards, it's exhausting, you know?
Yeah.
And you're like, is this real?
Right. Is this even real?
Exactly. So FlexJobs is like this breath of fresh air. They take care of it all. They vet every single listing to make sure it's legit.
Wow.
So they're verifying the company, confirming salaries. It's fantastic.
Okay, so they're like almost like a personal assistant
Yeah.
who's pre-screening all your potential applications.
That's a great way to put it. I mean, just imagine. You don't have to waste that time.
Huge time saver. But there's a price tag that comes with that.
There is a price tag, you're right. But think of it as an investment.
Right.
An investment in your sanity.
Yeah.
An investment in your time. They have different subscription models. So depending on what your budget is and how long you think you'll need it, you can choose what's right for you.
Makes sense. Okay, so we talked about Freelancer.com, Reedsy, Wordvice, even Gannett, Forbes. But we also have those who might be drawn to freelancing, but maybe they want, more community. They want support.
Totally.
You recommended the Editorial Freelancers Association.
Yes, the EFA. If you are a freelance editor or you want to be one,
It's the place to be.
it's a great resource. And it doesn't matter what level you're at. You could be just starting out. You could have been doing it for years.
And what I love about the EFA is it's not just about, here's a job, go do it.
Right?
It's about thriving as a freelancer.
Exactly. Which we know it takes more than just being good at grammar.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So they have everything.
Yeah.
Contract templates,
Oh, wow.
rate guidelines,
Okay.
workshops so you can keep your skills sharp, because the industry changes.
Yeah, always evolving.
They even have like local chapters in these online forums so you can connect with other editors.
Okay.
Which is huge because I think sometimes, when you're freelancing, you're at home, it can feel very isolating.
Yeah, absolutely. So just knowing that there are others out there who get it.
Who get the highs and the lows.
Yeah, that's got to be really reassuring.
Yeah.
Now, with all this being said, right, like we've got these amazing platforms, resources. How do you actually break in?
You've got to be ready to prove yourself. And a lot of platforms do that with these editing tests.
Oh, okay. So like trial by fire.
Kind of, but instead of, actual claims, you're looking at a paragraph.
Right.
Full of errors, inconsistencies.
Okay.
Platforms like EditFast, Proofreading Pal,
Yeah.
they use these tests to really gauge your abilities. Like, can you spot the errors?
Yeah.
How do you work with different style guides?
Right.
Do you have that attention to detail?
I bet that can be nerve-wracking,
Oh, for sure.
even for a seasoned editor.
Absolutely.
Any advice for our listeners on how to approach those?
Yeah, I'd say, first of all, don't panic. These tests, they're meant to assess, not to trip you up.
Okay, good point.
And be familiar with those style guides. APA, MLA, Chicago.
Yes.
It's crucial because clients, they have their preferences.
So it's not just about having the eye.
Right.
It's about knowing the rules.
Exactly. And honestly, practice makes perfect.
Oh, yeah.
There's so many resources online where you can practice. Grammar quizzes, you can do editing exercises, even those mock editing tests.
Oh, wow.
To simulate the real thing.
Smart.
One that comes to mind is Website.
Okay.
They have these really realistic simulations that can help. And you mentioned it, that ongoing practice. Because even when you're experienced,
Yeah.
you can always kind of sharpen those skills.
You're never done learning, are you?
Never. And some platforms, they actually prioritize that ongoing development.
Oh, interesting. Which ones?
Scrib, for one.
Okay.
They're fantastic because they have a system for giving you consistent feedback
Oh, love that.
and training, so you get that constructive criticism.
You get the resources to improve, like having a mentor almost.
That's amazing.
Right. And then Polish Paper.
Okay.
They take it a step further because they have this certification program. So as an editor, you can specialize.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. Different subject areas.
That's a great way to stand out.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then you can show that to clients. It makes you more marketable.
So smart. So it's really about, building that career, not just finding one-off gigs.
Exactly. It's a career.
Now, before we wrap up, I want to go back to that community aspect.
Oh, yeah.
Because we talked about how freelancing, it can feel a little isolating.
Very much so.
Yeah.
And that's where the EFA is so valuable.
Right? Right.
Because they provide that community. Local chapters, online forums. They even have those virtual meetups.
You can connect with people, share your experiences, swap those "you won't believe this" client stories.
Right.
Celebrate each other's successes.
I love that because at the end of the day, yeah, editing can be solitary.
It can be.
But knowing that you're part of something bigger,
It makes all the difference.
totally. Well, you know what? We've given you guys the tools. We've given you the insights, the resources. Now it's really about what you want to do.
What impact are you going to make?
What kind of impact do you want to have with these skills?
Yeah.
Whether it's, shaping the next bestseller, like we said, or making sure that some groundbreaking research is accurate, or even just helping students find their voice.
It's really incredible when you think about it.
It is.
And remember, this is just the start.
Yeah,
Keep exploring.
absolutely.
There's so much more out there.
So go out there, embrace the world of online editing. Make those words shine.